All right, good evening, everyone. 10 Tampa Bay Chief Meteorologist Bobby Deskins here. What do we got? Friday evening, 4th of July. Keep an eye on the radar for local weather, but I wanted to do a tropical update here to get you caught up on Tropical Depression 3. Officially formed at 5 o'clock this afternoon. Recon's been out there for a while. That's what they found. At least it's not quite tropical storm. It's a little bit sheared, but it is actually getting better organized, and it's forecast to become a tropical storm tomorrow. So let's get right to it right now. This is just east of Jacksonville. As a matter of fact, a little east-northeast, but let's say about 150 miles or so east-northeast of Jacksonville. That's where it is. It's actually starting to come back. It looks like a little bit back towards the south and the west. If you watch this, kind of a south thing, but it's just jogging. And what it's going to do is probably turn around and come back up towards the Charleston area by Saturday night into Sunday. Some kind of landfall in here as a tropical storm. That's the current forecast, and then drifting off towards the north and northeast and basically falling apart over land. So this is going to start to consolidate some of this moisture. We've had some really good convection off to the right side of it. And I know you see a couple spins there, but that's not actually the low-level center. The low-level center you can actually see is right in this area in here. Thus, where they have the center of it, of course. Well, winds are now at 35 miles per hour. Pressure's 1,012 millibars. That's not a lot. That's not that low, right? So it's very weak, 35 mile per hour winds. It's moving to the north at 2 miles per hour, but you can see it's almost kind of jogged to the south and then maybe jogging back to the north. It's just basically nearly stationary at this time. Look at this convection. This is the historic line. This is where the center of the broad area of low pressure has been. And you can see that we've got that line, that track right there. That's where we have the center line. So you can see where the actual center is versus where all the convection is. Okay, it's sheared. It's sheared off towards the west right there. And I think actually this is going to stay fairly sheared throughout the entire life cycle of this thing, because there's just a lot of wind shear coming in out of the north and the west. So there's not much really that we're going to be able to do about that, which is great news because we want it to stay on the weak side. Now let's talk about the Recon. Recon went out there from Keesler Air Force Base. You can see they did a couple figure fours. The data that they found, obviously not that impressive, but the key is that it has a really good circulation going all the way around. There's a stretch right in here that has winds over in the 40s. So tropical storm force winds right in here, but that's the only little stretch that I saw it. Everything else was, in a circle like this. It all was going counterclockwise, but everything was below 39 miles per hour, and they have 38 is one of the initial numbers that they had. That says, I think that's blocking. It says 39 and 1,012 millibars, right? So that's why they stuck it where they did. All right, here's the forecast now. You can see it moves to the north and the northwest as we go through tonight and tomorrow. By tomorrow, notice this 2 p.m. forecast at 40 miles per hour. That would make it Tropical Storm Chantal. So you see the icon here, that's a depression, but which is 2 a.m., right? This second one. The third one, that is Tropical Storm Chantal. That would be tomorrow afternoon. Tomorrow night into early Sunday morning, landfall, Charleston. That's pretty close to Charleston, about 40 mile per hour winds. Minimal tropical storm. And then you can see by Sunday afternoon, it's over top of Greenville almost, well, I guess to the east of there, but you can see southeastern, eastern at least South Carolina, and then up just west of Lumberton and just east of Charlotte by Monday night, Sunday night into Monday. So that's the timing. Now keep in mind, most of the weather's out here. Okay, so most of the rain's going to be rotating in Myrtle Beach, Sunset Beach, Wilmington, all the way up to AB, all the way up to the Outer Banks, Cape Lookout, Hatteras, all going to see those lines come through. That name again, Chantal, that would make it the third named storm that we've seen so far this year. Yeah, it's kind of quick, right? But I don't think it gets too strong at all. Here are the forecast models on it, and yes, they pretty much say this thing's drifting around, coming in near Charleston and turning and going up, okay? And as it's turning and going up, it's going to be falling apart. May actually, as it moves out over the North Atlantic, may try and spin up a little bit, but at that time we're not concerned about it, right? It's moving away. So here's the European forecast model. Tough to see here. Obviously, you can see the yellow. There's where it is. That's by tomorrow afternoon, Saturday at 5 o'clock. This is Sunday night into Monday. It just washes it out, okay? The GFS, very similar. It's got something by 4 a.m. tomorrow morning. This is early. Same area where it's at now. Watch by the afternoon. That's 4 a.m. on Sunday. So Saturday night and Sunday, making landfall overnight. Remember, all the weather's up here, okay? And then it too kind of turns it to the north and washes it out. There's not really much once it gets over land. Here's our forecast model. So let's go by this. This is tonight. Watch the difference between tonight and tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. That thing really starting to crank up a little bit. At least get better organized. A low-level center with a lower pressures on the inside here. And then that's going to get the wind going a little bit out of the northeast, parallel to the coast in Charleston, Savannah area, and then pushing up against Jacksonville. So they're going to have some rip current risk in the Jacksonville beach area, of course, all in North Florida. Something to watch there for tomorrow, all day Saturday, okay? Now, watch what happens. Look at this in Wilmington. This is tomorrow morning, right? We've got rain bands coming through Wilmington. I was telling my friends there, I was like, get as much in as you can on Saturday because Sunday is going to be worse. I think the morning has some rain bands. This is 1 o'clock in the afternoon. You can see they're moving inland. So the beaches look better after that, although the winds will be up. It'll be choppy. But more rain the further you get into South Carolina through the day. So this is 1 o'clock. Here are some rain bands rotating in through Charleston. Myrtle Beach, it's Saturday night especially. This is around 7 p.m. So yeah, you've got waves of rain coming through. There'll be some down into the Southport area up towards Wilmington as well. And then there you go. That's Sunday morning, about 3, 4 in the morning. The center right near Charleston, perhaps landfall at this time. But look at all of these here. These bands here, Saturday night and Sunday morning, overnight, unfortunately overnight in the middle of the night, that's a tornado risk, okay? That northeast quadrant, what we do is we take these, you can just kind of split this like this, put like a plus if you would. And then this is the northeast quadrant. That is where you tend to have more spin in the atmosphere, and that's where you tend to have more tornadoes. And these outer rain bands here are the ones that usually produce more tornadoes. We don't see as much on these inner rain bands. It's generally way out here. So that is your Saturday night, Sunday morning, overnight. Make sure you have a weather radio if you're in that area to get any warnings that they may issue. This is Sunday at 3 o'clock. You can see that we've got scattered showers. It's not terrible, right? But it's definitely gray and it's definitely on the rainy side the further you get from Lumberton up to Charlotte area for Sunday afternoon and into the evening hours. And then as you can see, it's falling apart and it'll continue to move to the north and the east after that. Now winds, not a lot. The yellow you see here is in the 20s. The red is in the 30s, and you see one little spot right here. Now they're forecasting 40-mile-per-hour winds, just enough to make it a tropical storm, but you're not going to see a lot of those. I would say 20s and 30s at the coast, perhaps some gusts to near 40 miles per hour. But we have to watch it because it could get a little bit stronger, right? Definitely, if it's a tropical storm forecast to be 40-mile-per-hour winds, expect at least 40-mile-per-hour winds, especially Charleston and Myrtle Beach. All right, because you'll have the better chance for where the wind is. Then you see we can get up here as we get into Sunday morning, 8 o'clock. Still have this onshore wind blowing up to AB, Atlantic Beach, Morehead City, Emerald Isle. You're going to get some of that onshore wind as well, and that's going to kick the surf up for sure. But it's not a good surf. It's victory at sea because those winds are blowing all that surf on shore. And then you can see it dies down too. This is not a lot of wind. This is not a strong storm. But you know, there's always that thing. We talk about tropical storms and hurricanes, and like, man, but remember that one tropical storm? That was worse than the hurricane that came through. This is going to be a nagging storm more than anything else. Let me back this up. This is looking ahead. This is Saharan dust because it's been fairly quiet, to be honest with you, this season now, up until this point at least. But there's a lot of Saharan dust, and you see that going all the way out through Tuesday. That patch coming across the Caribbean into the, part of the southern Gulf of Mexico. But look what happens as we go through next week. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Look at all of that dust coming across the Caribbean. And then there's more. This is next Saturday. It's almost a week from tomorrow, okay? Into Sunday. You see it going all the way out. We typically have dust this time of the year. We typically have it really in June, okay? And it comes literally from the Saharan desert right here. Storms kick it up, picks it up, and it drags it all the way over. And that dries out the atmosphere, so you tend not to see a whole lot of tropical development. But usually by the time you get in the first week or so of July, it really starts to thin out. This is quite a bit of dust for this time of year. Now, as a result, look at this. This is a forecast. This is an extended outlook forecast for the tropics through the 15th of July. They say the best chance, and it's only 20% or less, is out here in the Pacific. And then watch this. Let's go out another week through the 22nd of July, and they don't have anything. Now, anything can happen, sure. But what this means is the overall status of the atmosphere in the Gulf, in the Caribbean, and even in the Pacific for that matter, Eastern Pacific, but is one that we don't see a whole lot of development happening. So that's good news. We'll take that if that does happen to be the case. Okay, guys, that's the tropical update for today. Of course, I'll be keeping you updated throughout the weekend. Watch what happens tonight and into early tomorrow morning. So when you go to bed tomorrow morning, check back in and see what it looks like, because the forecast is not set in stone. Just because you've seen that cone, that doesn't mean that's exactly what's going to happen. And that not only goes for the track, although I think the track is actually fairly well. I think the track is going to be pretty close to that, but that will go for the intensity. And we know that in trying to figure out the intensity of the forecast of the hurricanes is a harder forecast than it is the track. Right? We have a lot better luck in figuring out where it's going to go than what it's going to look like when it's get there. Right now, there is going to be some shear. It's going to be a little bit of dry air trying to mix in, not a lot, but I would watch that just in case it doesn't creep up on you and end up being a little bit stronger than what it's forecast to be now. All right, guys, thank you very much. I'll see you on media.